Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And team, do you have any news you want to share?
Yeah, I'm going to start with a post in LinkedIn from the VR AR Association. And they started to talk about, and for a long time, practitioners of XR have talked about in the future, everybody's going to adopt this. And, you need to get ahead of the curve so that you understand where it is. I think we're getting into that tip of the curve there where people are starting to adopt it. And that's what the VR AR association is claiming or stating. Mobile AR, that's the entry point for most people. 35% of the US population now uses mobile AR for gaming, social, navigation, or even cosmetic training. So think about over one third of the US population is now using mobile AR on a regular basis. VR still growing fast. That's why XR is kind of all encompassing of mixed reality, augmented reality, and virtual reality. 25% of the population uses VR right now, and 1 in 4 teenagers in the US play video games that are VR based. So we're really starting to see some big numbers when you think about influential amounts, and also it's geared more to a younger demographic. So as those demographics age, we'll continue to see the adoption increase. And the last thing is one of the things that really drives funding development. It's kind of the economic engine is the enterprise sector. And nearly every Fortune 1000 company today has some level of mixed reality, augmented reality, or virtual reality implementation in their practices today. A lot of focus on training, a lot of focuses on real life situations, and anything that where visual nature will help. But it's important to really start to understand that we've made the shift from this being a novelty piece of technology to it having real world implications and then a significant user base on an ongoing basis, which is a real attraction for people generating new content. Any additional thoughts, Dom?
Yeah, I think I remember back in 2000, how long ago? 2017 or 16, when Oculus, right, like Pomolaki, released his first campaign on Kickstarter. We thought that is the first year, the birth year of VR. And now everybody's still saying that, oh, this year or next year is the birth year of AR,
Mm-hmm.
VR. We've been waiting for this moment for so long, and I think it's growing. It's just take very very long time, and I know that it seems like Meta is going to launch their only one eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
And more like for research purpose, or like just like a lightweight launch. And also I think it's the price was 1,000.
$1,000? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What do you think about that? Because I saw a real like a X real. Because
Mm-hmm.
the funny thing is that people always think X reality and X real has some relationship,
Yeah.
and actually we're different. Yeah. Well, what do you see that X real versus the Orion? Because I feel like X real already did a lot of whatever Orion wanna achieve. What do you think of?
Yeah, I think you
Processing.
make a really good point about it's experimental and learning, and I think that's one of the things is that we just don't. Not a lot of data that's shared across companies, and so the user research and what does it mean to have to be out in the world.
Mm,
I think that's kind of the next step is actually being out in the world with the glasses on.
mm,
If you're wearing a Quest 3, you're probably not walking down the street. I mean, you can, but it's not super safe. And
mm,
what does it mean to have some of your vision occluded?
mm,
What can you focus on as a human? How much information is too much information? How
mm,
much is not enough information? I think starting to learn those things through real world trials is a really great way to kind of build Meta's knowledge. Even though that, like you said, XReal's done some of this already. I don't think the tech itself, well, maybe the execution of the tech is new. But it's the fact that they're going to be collecting that data and using it, and that will come out in interesting ways. I'm really appreciative of Meta's desire to feed the community with tools, like the Meta building blocks for Unity is a
mm.
really great tool, and uh, Llama in general, free access to Llama, and
I don't know why launch on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's really interesting, but I think as Meta learns more, that will trickle down to the market in general, and it will help accelerate things.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I saw a lot of I didn't try it and I didn't buy it. The Snapchat, yeah, their AR glass.
Spectacles.
Yeah, spectacles. Those looks great. And I was wondering why, like, I know Snapchat, they are so specialized in the social augmented, but I feel like Snapchat is more like a game and for young people and really focusing on game. So
Hmm.
for me, if I want to buy it, I feel like, oh, I need to create a fun lens for Gen Z. I don't know, like it's too niche. And while Meta's Orion is more positioned I feel like a more mature audience and the more like a everyday use. Maybe their campaign also. So for example, you can do like a reading, you can do fishing, you can do
Hmm.
dancing, less of tied to fun like a those like a face filter or like a so many games not really. I mean, I appreciate how Snapchat, I saw a lot of creative stuff, like a creative usage of hand gestures.
Yeah.
I love that. But it's just like for me, maybe Snapchat, their branding is so fixed to super young target audience. And when people want to create something that really useful or really get into more like a audience, like a serious audience,
Yeah.
like a medical, wearing Snapchat feels like a fun. And I feel like the disconnect between branding and also like the technology and also Snapchat's spectacle is more tied to that specific app.
Yeah,
That
yeah, yeah.
older generation like me, I don't have friends there. So
Yep, understood. Agreed. I have Snap, but I don't use it as much as I probably should. One other thing that's interesting about the Snap Spectacles is they have a different pricing model. So
hmm,
you don't buy the hardware outright, you pay a monthly subscription fee for the hardware,
hmm.
and you have to sign I think it's at least a year contract
Oh.
in order to get the hardware. So it's interesting that they're trying a different pricing model. I've seen a lot of really interesting work done on the spectacles, and I'm honestly curious about developing it. I know they
Hmm,
have a student version that you can get that's a little bit cheaper as well.
hmm.
But gee, I agree with your point that most people perceive them in a certain lane, and I think this may be an effort to get out of that lane a little bit, and I'll be curious to see where it goes.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, if I buy that, I feel like I'm going to create a lot of fun lenses for college student.
Yeah,
That's my perception. Maybe I was wrong. They have like a new types of things. Yeah, but I do really interested to see if Snapchat can uh kind of last fun and give us like some ways to do things that a
yeah.
little bit serious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, that's a nice transition. I'm going to talk next about an article from ZDNet, and they talk about the Ray Neo Air 3S, which is another glasses type device that's in the market. We're in this, I know we've talked about this before, but we're in this really unique spot right now where there's all these entries into the XR glasses or virtual reality or mixed reality pass-through glasses type of hardware devices, and it's a really fragmented kind of universe of devices. I mean, literally every week we have a new piece of hardware that comes out. But I think they all have like a different flavor, a different take, and I'm excited to see how the best of breed in the market comes along. This Ray Neo Air 3S's, they are dual micro LED lenses, and it's got a speaker chamber design, and then it can create a 201-inch visual field or visual screen experience. And so, if you think of things like watching movies, right? These are retailing for 269. If you get a TV that big, it's going to be probably $3,000 or $4,000 to get a TV that big. But now you could get these glasses and watch your favorite shows and your Netflix and whatnot in that size TV for a lot lower price point. So it's really interesting to see where this is going to go. There's some complaints about it not being super light blocking, so it's not true color, it's not true representation, which, if you have a Quest, there's a lot more control over the visual field. But I just think it's really interesting to understand how these things can um, go, the choices that are being making with hardware. Some are tethered to phones, some are not tethered to phones. Some use the Android platform, some don't. And then Meta's got its own ecosystem that it does. So I think we'll continue to see more and more of these things, and I think each little innovative slice kind of feeds the overall picture. And I'll be excited to see in almost every market there's usually a two or three, like Coke and Pepsi is those are the big brands for soda pop. Right now, will it be Google and Meta? Will it be Meta and somebody else? Meta's got a clear lead right now. Who's going to catch them? What does that mean? And what does the future look like?
Yeah, yeah. I think for all those like changes, I do think that right now Meta is leading. And as far as I know, right now you see like there's tariffs, right? I don't know what people are expecting, or a lot of people start saying, what will the stock looks like on Monday. People are scared, but
Yeah.
I do think that yeah, you see like even a lot of big companies, Apple, Meta, and also Tesla, because their business has some hardware, and also had a lot of like other countries like components in, so a lot of stock going down. So my thought is that yeah, like you see like a lot of country, like for example like a XRAI, right? It's pretty cheap now, but I don't know after adding up tariffs how
Hmm.
much. And right now, I yesterday I just saw Wall Street Journal, the iPhone that we bought today, right? Probably about 2000 or 1600 or whatever. If the person did some math, everything add up to tariff, and also every single parts of the device or accessories adding up from different countries, and he did the math. We need to add up 1/3 of the original price on top of
Hmm.
what we currently buy. So that's say 1500. That's the cheapest one, and 1/3 is how much? Uh,
Fifteen
five.
hundred and one third 2000.
Yeah. So if you wanna buy the cheapest one, it becomes the premium one. Yeah, and the premium one need to add even more because, for example, 2000, 1/3 on top is even more, like another 700, right? So
Yep.
yeah, yeah. So I think, and Nintendo Switch is not even wanna release in America, which I was like, wow, yeah, because of tariff. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah,
All right.
cool.
So the next one I want to cover is virtual reality training. So I think we've seen a lot of use cases in previous conversations that we've had about virtual reality being one of the real return on investments, or the way to get the most value out of a real world use case is through training. This article from the Beat of Hawaii, Hawaii's travel news, has a interesting write up about Hawaii Air and them using virtual reality to train the pilots. Apparently, when you come into Hawaii and you land, there's a lot of crosswinds. It's a unique landing situation for pilots, and it being stressful during the landing anyway. And then in a moment's notice, the crosswind can come and kind of knock you off your path. And so this gives pilots the ability to experience that firsthand. Gives them the ability to do it multiple times with low risk. There's not a plane full of passengers. They're not having a $1 billion plane that they're flying. It's basically just a Quest VR setup, and it's giving them the opportunity to do those reps and get comfortable and understand kind of the situations that they can get into and how to get out of it in a safe way with low risk on the training. Also, it doesn't take a $1 billion plane to train, so it's a lot lower cost entry. You can train a lot more people. They're also looking at using this for like really long flights that fly across the ocean because, again, the situation can change very quickly and it can be turbulent. And so, what do you do during those situations? And it's just providing that long kind of draw your focus back to kind of a situation that needs a type of experience that you can recreate via virtual reality. It hasn't been approved by the FAA yet, but Hawaii Airlines still feels like that it's a valuable tool and so they're using. It's not the only way that pilots are training at this point, and they still have the FAA, so don't worry about that. But it is a new use case that I haven't seen for training pilots, and I think it's a really interesting one.
Wow, yeah, I think for VR training, I play a game which is like the kind of pilot training. It's very interesting that when you take off and there are a lot of like very complicated like a dashboard. Yeah, and also you need to balance it up. I think if the training can be leave leave the player or the trainee uh, up the ground and then do like the real simulation. That would be great.
Hmm.
Because when I playing those games, I find out that when whatever I see is not aligned with whatever I feel. So I feel motion sickness. But I think, yeah, I mean, it's better than reading a manual or reading a book or yeah, some like a plain text or some illustration. I think it just
Hmm.
by hands-on practice is always better. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, the next one I want to cover is by it's for Android Central. It's by Nicholas Sutrich, and he raises a really interesting point. He said it's time for MetaQuest to stop focusing on new capabilities and start focusing on stability. So his point is that he believes that there have been a lot of bugs shipped over the last 6 months with Meta's drive to get new functionality into the Quest 3, which I've seen some bugs, so I can attest personally that I've seen some bugs. But his point is that it's difficult to get adoption and sustained adoption if the player experience is that they receive a bug and they can't play the game that they want to play. I also, from being a developer of XR experiences, understand how difficult testing is of mixed reality experiences, and I think both from an automated perspective and from just a structural perspective, I think there's a lot of opportunity in the XR space to build tools to help do testing and validating because it's not a very linear workflow like much of your website, a traditional QA stuff is. There's a lot of agency for the user, and so there's many different outcomes that can happen based on user choice. So you need to test all of those, and I think some automation might help. But I think just some standardization around what does it mean. We're still in this kind of wild, wild west space. So I think as we start to see some of that structure, and I believe that Meta could be a real strong leader in that area of um, dedicated testing and really starting to build out that testing uh, scenarios, use cases, structure, tools, all of that stuff would be really great for Meta to take some leadership.
Yeah, I think for companies, for example, like Meta, it's very important for them to have like for example, like a really, really dedicated to user experience. And I think, yeah, you see like all the craziness, yeah, through the big tech. I feel like for example, like according to my understanding, I might be wrong, but it seems like they will start laying off people every 6 months, right? And 5%. And I was like, and they keep constantly reorg, right? Like people move people around. And I think, I mean, it looks good on the financial, right? You chop, cut a lot of people and hire a lot of cheaper people, for example, people from other countries, right? But I don't know the tariff, how you apply. But it just feels like before people cares about like all the service or the stuff, all the yeah, but I feel like right now it's more like they give outsider, for example, creator, a lot of price, like using money to, hey, we give you like we have 11 million budget and you create a great world. I mean, it's a very different strategy. It's more like using money to make you like external types of like a motivation to
Hmm.
make you want to do things because of the money. And same as, the employee, right? Like the thing. I feel like it's switching to more like a, I really love the product. I really want to dedicate myself to the product, to
Hmm.
more like, oh, when is my, money come to the bank? Yeah, I feel like the shift from internal, I love doing this and I want to do more, to, oh, I do this because of money.
Hmm.
Everything from internal, external, from the news that I read. Yeah, so that's my thought.
Big
And I feel,
changes.
yeah,
Experience is so important.
the entire world changes too. You see, like before we prioritize like a justice, right? Like a, and now it's more like a, oh, make a deal with us. You don't have
Hmm.
cards. We have. Oh, I feel like what this is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel like
Yep.
the level of the leadership. I feel, I don't know. I feel like I feel embarrassed for some reason. And recently, I saw a lot of Taiwanese, like I don't know, like I had like a Taiwanese, a lot of friends. They said
Hmm.
they are anti-American right now, and I was like, hey, Taiwan used to love American people,
Hmm.
government, culture, everything fully embrace. And right now we become the people that nobody likes us. And I feel like, oh God, and I don't know. Yeah.
It's changing. The world is all connected and things are changing rapidly.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
last one I want to cover is from the Mirror US. Damien Burkhardt,
Mm,
I believe is how you pronounce the writer's name. It relays an experience of watching UConn and the UCLA in the
mm.
Final Four on Friday in the women's NCAA tournament. And this is really, really interesting because he's talking about how sports is going to change and how, dealing with sports, how our interaction with sports is going to change. And he really conveys, I think, really eloquently in this article, how there is a much stronger emotional connection when you're in XR to the content, and the intensity of that emotion is a lot stronger. And I think sports are a really great thing because there's already a lot of passion for fans for the sport, and they live and die by their teams. And that additional intensity and that additional connection that you can get through XR and you can't get through any other medium, I think is one of the things that will drive wide scale consumer adoption. So I'm very excited to see this kind of movement in the sports space.
Do you think a sports in the future, the sports will be replaced by digital sports player, or you think it's still human? People still feel more excited about human play the game. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So, yes and yes. I think both will still exist. I think there will always be some sort of human play. I have a friend who was talking to me about gaming, and he said, he does a stream and people watches him play the video game, and I was like, man, I've got two kids, and I can't think of anything worse than watching my two kids play their video game. And they're always like, "Dad, watch," when they were little. And he said, "Listen, do you watch sports?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You don't have any control over that. It's exactly the same thing." So I think there will be some of that. I think one of the things that people enjoy about sports is the human nature of anything that can go wrong. I really love college football. I mean, pro football is awesome too, but college football, because those are young people who haven't fully formed their decision making skills, and they're just trying to grow as people, and that comes through in their play. Sometimes they make mistakes and that can be bad. Sometimes they make really great decisions and that can be a really great play. And just that unpredictability that adds to the game in college football for me is something that I want to always see. I think if you have two, air quotes, bots playing each other, I don't know if you have the same level of serendipity, I'll call it, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine like there's an AI and create have a lot of digital player. Everything is perfect and you can manipulate the algorithm. I don't
Yeah.
know whether it is fun or not fun.
Yeah, what is the Japanese? I don't remember the name of it, but there's a Japanese art form where when things get broken,
Gibelling. Oh, or oh, no, no.
no, when things get broken and they repair them with gold. And so the broke it
Oh,
highlights the
yeah.
thing that's not perfect about it. And I think there's some beauty in that. And I think as we think about what bots do and how bots are perfect in certain ways,
Hmm.
that will be less desirable in some situations.
Yeah, yeah, I do see that. It's interesting right now we are highlighting how imperfection that human is instead of because right now I feel like if I see an email that doesn't have any errors, I feel like that's written by AI or like I don't know. I just feel like now a lot of things are being automated by AI now. So I think we still very appreciate the imperfection of human. For example, like right now I was watching like some trailers of like a 60s 90s 80s like film.
Hmm.
I was so appreciate that the lighting, right? Like the old style and people trying to remember those like lines and the shots. I feel
Hmm.
so like human touch, everything. And the computer, everything was so chunky and we still have like the folder and writing like the old movie. And
Hmm.
now it's all probably, the actor, actress doesn't really know each other. They just follow the cutscene and the background can be a lot of After Effects and probably it's all using green screens.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Like right now, I feel like the movie uh has it is less touchable and the
Hmm.
song and in the old time, even though there are not a lot of After Effects and the lighting, I saw like the like a 80s movie and the lighting was so bad. A
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
things are so bad. I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's something about when people come together to do something, they have to exert energy,
Mm.
like at the end of the day. And that energy is much different than electrical energy that powers, So I'm sure the final products will be different. One of my favorite quotes is a quote that says, "If the person making the ramen is happy, happiness will be the end result." And I think that kind of that flows through this.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like a lot of like movies, even though right now we have a lot of choice on Netflix, or I feel like we lack of that types of energy. You just mentioned that from the ramen master to
Mm-hmm.
ramen. Yeah, I feel like yeah, and I don't know. It's just a very interesting thing that start going, and we can see a lot of people like protest on the street, right?
Yeah.
I can feel the anger, but I don't know why this anger is not conveyed to the top. For
Mm-hmm.
some reason, I saw like, did the is the leader answer any questions about all the protests? No, nothing. And that person supposed to answer from X or somewhere, right?
Yep.
It's just disappear, and he just think he did a great things, and everybody surround him is yeah, like Harvard graduate.
Yeah.
Disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really don't know. Like this world is becoming very transactional, and yeah, that's my thought. It, I don't know, and there's you see like people start saying that this looks like a big recession, right? Like from 2008
Hmm.
to like a couple of years. So yeah, this is just at the beginning. If things is not changing.
Yeah, yeah, yep. We'll see what happens. I think that's all the news I got. Want to switch to the AI stuff?
Cool, cool. Okay, so the first news I want to talk about is Wall Street Journal. There is an article talks about so like say hello to your new colleague, the AI agent. So in this article, it talks about people start seeing AI become their colleague, and then start teaching them how to do leadership. Start from training, right? Because the AI agent can be, the training program, and we can see there are a lot of great avatars. So yeah, so start with like a training and also they help. For example, there is a program helps the salespeople improve their pitches, leading the higher win rates. and the agent that's, for example, Accentual's human salespeople spend more time building relationship with client and solve their problems. So it's more like assisting and training, but I think in the future, it will have more AI agent to jump in and to start doing the work. But
Hmm.
I do think I like a more human touch. For example, recently I got one virtual recruiter, um, like a switching platform, communicate with me from my phone text.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and my email. Okay, so I received like I forgot the name, but the person, the virtual recruiter. But I really appreciate that person have a parenthesis say I'm AI bot or something on my email. And I look at that, I was like, oh, this is totally not what I'm looking for. So that's why I reply an email and say, hey, this is not what I'm looking for, and my role will be da 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 da. I list my role, and I even give like some details of me.
Hmm.
However, I receive a text. I feel like the AI doesn't really understand or not well trained. That says that it says that, hey, I just sent you an email. Are you interested in jumping in the call right now with me? I'm available to talk. I was like, no, this is not what I said. So I
Yeah.
text I text that AI bot because that AI bot is both. I like the same thing. I am more like this role. So da 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 da. And then later on, the AI bot sent me a lot of different roles with something that didn't hit. And I was like, oh God, I'm not even living this state. I said,
Yeah.
I just keep replying, treat it like I'm training that AI bot. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
trying to work with that bot.
Yeah.
And at the end, that I received a text, and that AI bot asked me like, "Oh, would you like to have a call with me? And let's dive in and for me to understand what you are looking for." I was like, "Oh, finally, you are listening." And I just called that AI bot. That AI bot said, "I am da 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 da. Thank you for the da 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 da. And this conversation may be recorded da 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 da." And then first question, I want to ask you, what's your experience? Beep, and like a beep. And I was like, oh God, this is so thrown off. And there was a recording session. I was like, am I ready for this? So that's why I was like, oh God, this is so throwing me off. I mean, you can definitely pay somebody, kind of like another in another country, or somebody who
Uh-huh.
just a recent graduate can perform much better than this like an AI bot. So I just hey no. I feel like
Yeah.
I spend too much time on you, and you don't really know what I'm looking for. I text you, I talk a lot about you, and you're just like a beep and want me to talk and follow the script. Can we just jump to the thing that we are talking about? Why should I follow the entire thing? And I couldn't even skip something, unlike humans. So that's
Yeah.
why,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what do you think is the right way to approach? So there could have been I would uh postulate that there are a lot of bad human recruiters who don't communicate very well and don't listen to the recruiters or don't listen to the candidates. How do you compare those two things together? Or like what would happen to a human and what should happen to the bot?
I think for human, at least the worst one that I have is usually from like I don't want to say the specific nationality, but they will ask like, how many years of experience of your UI design? How many years of experience of your Figma design? It's like a reading the script.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, who will remember how many years like the starting day and finishing day? It's
Yeah.
like for example, your project management. How many years of experience of you using Jira? How
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
using Microsoft Suite? I was like, what? And ask like a 10 questions. And I usually said, can you just write like a 13 or 15 for all
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
them? Because it's
Yeah.
kind of mixed. And yeah, I mean, ever since, like a sketch becomes too overpricing, I switched to Figma. I really forgot what's the date.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
usually just
Yeah.
like a 10, 13, 15, whatever number. And I really don't like these types of question. It feels like even though you have a lot of years of experience, you can be bad as well.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't really mean anything. The years of experience just means you are old. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean
yeah,
you are
yeah.
good. So
Yeah.
they are focusing on the years of experience and also trying to figure out your gap years, what you were doing. For example, like, oh, between this job and another job, there's nothing in between. What will you do? Did you have
Yeah.
a job? Or like, what's the reason you leave the company? Are you
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
laid off? I was like, oh God, like, those types of questions is like I consider to be. Can I hand over the phone?
Yeah, yeah. Can I talk to somebody, please?
Yeah,
There
yeah,
should be a way to opt out and talk to somebody, you would think.
yeah, right. So, and also like when talking to the recruiter, those types of things, and also like, for example, yeah, ask you why you leave the company, or like ask you what's your strength and weakness. Oh, I usually just say the strength and weakness is the same. I'm a generalist, right?
Hmm.
I know a lot of things. If you want to look for a specialist, this is a weakness. If you want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
look for generalist, then this is a strength. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to like a this is the best thing that for me I'm trying to cover. So yeah, so this is the bad recruiter, but I
Yeah.
think AI is worse because you can argue or you can tell like, oh, I'm fed up, and that
Yeah.
person can sense it. Like, oh,
Yeah, yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
we just have a form, we Excel sheet. Otherwise, our manager will be mad at us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I was like, okay, I understand. I will help you to fill out the sheet, but you understand my frustration.
Hmm.
However, the AI bot will wait until you fill out, and if you complain, this will be recorded. I was
Yeah.
like, what should I do? So I just hang up. That's the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, what's your worst experience as a human, or if you receive any voice bot?
Yeah, I think this is it's sort of it's not a HR thing, but and I can't remember if we talked about this, but I had a buddy who ordered. We would go to Starbucks every day. I used to work with, and he would always order a caramel macchiato, like every day, order a caramel macchiato. Then one day we went in, and the young lady behind the counter said, "Oh, you want a caramel macchiato?" She recognized him, and he's like,
Oh, that's very sweet.
"No, I don't
Oh,
want a because she said it, he didn't want it. And I we started to talk about it. I said, if that was a robot that did that, based on if I was going to order for you, I would order you a caramel macchiato because I've seen you order that every time that you've come in
yeah.
here. And but I think it's just interesting to understand that there's a human dynamic there. And to your point, I think some people think that's really kitschy and kind if somebody says, "Oh, hey, I remember what you want." Some people want to know that. Other people want to be anonymous and they don't want you to know what they want. And so I
Oh,
think it's a challenge for bots to start to understand what the person on the other side's preferences are and
yeah.
how they want to interact with them.
Yeah, yeah. Every time when I like right now, I didn't have any good virtual recruiter experience. And I remember one time received like email. I think right
Hmm.
now it's just too many applicants. And there's like a link, want me to click, and there's a subject said that this is a virtual recruiter. Please make sure you are in a quiet place and the lighting is right, the camera is on and high raise or whatever. And you are about to enter. Once you click, you are about to enter a 15 minutes experience with the virtual recruiter. I click in, and I
Yeah,
saw there's a big screen, and then there's kind of like there's no even no like a virtual agent,
yeah,
and it just said that there's a voiceover. Please talk about your experience. You have 1 minute. And it's just big screen and it's just me, and it's a video. It's like a video call, just me,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
have to talk about my experience and act like I am interacting with somebody. I
yeah.
feel like, oh, that's so awkward. So I click it off. I don't know. Yeah, this is
How hard would it be to put like another visual there, something for you to look at and react to?
yeah, I feel like that's much better. At least or I mean, I wish it's a human being pre-recorded. It's better. For
Yeah,
example, you being recorded and paused. I feel like that's much better than a robot. See, like fake smile, perfect smile. I just don't know. Like when I saw those types of like a virtual stuff, my brain freeze and I
Yeah, yeah,
forgot what I'm going to say. It's just like it's so awkward.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm probably too old.
Well, I think more people deal with virtual recruiters than they know, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I've seen a lot of kind of people looking for jobs right now that will say, I filled out the application the company asked me, I uploaded my resume, and within 10 minutes, I got an email back, some very short amount of time, I got an email back that says, we've chosen to not proceed with your application.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
And
heard that.
and there's no way that a person had a chance to look at that resume and think about if that person was actually qualified. So they've just done scoring based on the application, and then the system automatically rejects people at a very fast rate. And so I know as an applicant that people don't think that you've not given me the right amount of it took me a half an hour 45 minutes to complete this application, and it
Yeah.
took you not even that much time to review it and say no.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a good return on your investment.
I think it's just because there are too many of us. That's
Yeah,
why, yeah, I heard that people said that a lot of recruiters said that they are in the crazy amount of submission that everyone is overqualified for a lot of like positions. So that's
yeah.
why they don't feel a lose if they didn't pick the right one because it's just too many.
Well, I think when the job markets always shift, it's just ebbs and flows, and I think when it shifts the other way, I think there are going to be a lot of expectations for job seekers who won't deal with, you know, not great experiences. So the companies that are working on their employee or recruit experience now are going to be so far ahead when that pendulum
Yeah.
swings.
Yeah. Every time when I have like those bots, I was like, I want to block them. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I would say that probably some people because they really need a job, they will go through that. But I
sure.
would say whatever candidate they have, because right now I think right now recruiter has another way to recruit even with human. They ask you to introduce yourself and upload a video to sending to them, so they want to
Hmm.
feel your vibe.
Hmm.
And I was like, I mean, I'm fine as a normal person interacting with you, right?
Hmm.
But when I am on the camera and talk about myself for a minute, it's a little awkward. I will start being performing. It's not really me, but it's just very awkward right now. People want to save their time. And the funny thing is that so many people doesn't have jobs.
Hmm.
And you just let everybody lose their job and let AI to dominate the bad experience. It's
Hmm.
just very
It's
interesting and
weird.
spend so much time doing the infrastructure and then billions of dollars in and the worst experience that you will get.
Yep. Experience matters.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the AI is going to become your colleagues. And the other one is let's see. Okay, so AI is okay. So after this, I want to talk about um, um, AI is calling all fashion models. Now AI is coming for you. So there's a uh, fashion brand, H&M, announced they are going to use AI or AI twins to do all their graphic models. So which means that before um, a lot of young girls or guys, they look good and they want to do this as their entire job, right? Because it pays well, and then it looks good, right? Because you are a model, right? And people start losing their weight, right? Looks very skinny on the camera, and then got so they can look good. But
Not
now
healthy.
we with one click, or just like for example, if you see like a meta human or those like a real like engine, you can see how real those digital human are, and you can
Hmm.
just hey just drag the bar and the color of skin will turn white to black, or you can change the color, you can change how skinny it is. And also you see digital human is definitely cheaper. and easier to, you know, ask them to do whatever you are looking for. Because
Yeah,
some human, it's, you know,
they're always
time.
available.
Yeah,
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 there's no scheduling conflicts.
yeah, yeah. So a lot of people said that this will be a trend because yeah, it's just very much easier. But I feel like yeah, I saw a lot of like you know, even right now I saw some LinkedIn posts. They are trying to mimic a human flow, like the bed lighting, because you see like AI is always look perfect, but they right now they are trying to add some human flaws, so you couldn't even tell this is human or
Yeah.
not. Yeah, so I don't know. It's like a company wanna save the budget, and so a lot of real human, real model, they will start losing their, you know, position because it's cheaper, and yeah, just like you said, there is no schedule conflicts and everything. They can just
No,
do
no
everything.
complaining. They just do what you ask them to do, and yeah, no, I think it's really interesting to me that in the entertainment industry is where we're seeing a lot of I'll call it job replacement for
Mm,
lack of a better description. But I think that as robotics continue to grow, I saw an article the other day that one company is going to test 1,000 in-home robots this year.
mm,
We're not very far from having in-home robots, and
mm,
in most of the manufacturing will be robotics in the future. If you think
mm,
about, and I know we'll probably talk about tariffs later, but tariffs and since purchase of domestic goods,
mm,
whatever your domestic company is,
mm,
and then one of the things that drives prices in the U.S. is significant is the labor factor,
mm,
which is why a lot of things that get manufactured in countries where the labor costs are cheaper. Well, we've gotten to the bottom of that market, and
mm.
so now the only thing to do is switch to robots, and then everybody has an equal or almost equal playing field for what labor costs. So how will that change supply chain and a bunch of other things that go into costs? It's going to be really, really interesting times.
Yeah, yeah. And imagine everybody has a robot. Plumbing, right? Before I saw a lot of articles says white collar workers are getting replaced. For example, our previous dream job, work in a game studio as a game developer, working on super cool stuff. It's like people start getting laid off from the big company. And
Hmm.
now I remember before people said that, oh, blue collar is great because a robot doesn't have a good, you know, handyman skills that couldn't get into some details. But I saw that actually it's happening because if you see Google, right, they are putting the brand and also they can clean up your room better than you knows how to
Hmm.
categorize things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, so imagine those like a human android go to your home, taking care of your kitchen because every night I need to clean the kitchen, you know, mop your floor every day and just sit there and cost almost, you know, like affordable price. Or, you know, I think after all the company trying to launch theirs and the price will go down. And let's say if this, then how's the blue collar job, right? For example, we think that, oh, it's very dangerous for um, a lot of, you know, a lot of work to be automized. But if you put a human droid in, right? Yeah, so even war, the soldiers, right?
Hmm.
They're going to make like a lot of robots to fight the war. And what I don't know, it's just like a human will be very interesting in very interesting position that we will have a lot of people have a lot of time and doesn't
Hmm.
really know yeah, like what's the opportunity. It feels like the gap between super rich, right, and normal people, right, is like I read an article. It says that there's no middle in the future. All
Hmm.
the middle class or average person will be putting down into the bottom. So, you know, in the future, just like a sci-fi movie, super rich people live in a luxurious life, the best life, and the bottom people will always in the slum and suffer. It's like, you
Yeah.
know, a lot of
Oh, I hope not. Yeah,
like a
yeah.
sci-fi movie, like a two very distinct.
Dystopian future.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I hope it's not. Yeah, so it comes to another news that is education. Teachers warn AI is impacting students' critical thinking. So yeah, of course, chatbot is everywhere and it's free to start. A lot of student is using, for example, their AP test, just like concept of a line of reasoning, and people just use like their chatbot to fill out the homework. So I think it's very interesting. Like for example, like there's a people said that for some kids they don't have a parent at home and who might not be able to help them, or English isn't their first language. So I think a lot of like gaps, and also using AI to offload of the early like K-12s, like
Hmm.
supposed to learn, too early to use. And recently I read an article and I discovered one really interesting school called Alpha School. If you type Alpha School, it's for K-12. And
Hmm.
it's very interesting. It's like in school, you only have 2 hours facing computer. It's like an AI tutor for 2 hours of academic. That's it. Remember when we were at school, it's the
Yeah.
whole day and go home, it's all like a academic consume and trying to remember, but they only require 2 hours.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's like a very focused and very concentrate, absorbing the knowledge just in 2 hours. And then the rest of the time, teacher take the entire students, but it's like I saw it as like a 5 or 6. The reason why the class is so small is because there are not many kids being born just because of economy is so bad that young
Yeah.
people couldn't really afford, right? So in the future, probably there are not many kids. So like 5 kids, and every kids will be super smart and super, intelligent and adapt to the future. And then those kids, like I saw, like some of them is just like a first grade, second grade, very young, and go to the market and look up the problems. For example, everywhere, every shop,
Hmm.
go to the store and start doing some research, like in field research, and figure out how to solve the problem. And I was like, wow, this is blow my head. From K-12, you start teaching kids how to do entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think that really good. That's actually much better than my traditional
Sure.
education, and we pretty much get rid of the problem that teacher asks. Wow, what if student cheating using
Hmm.
AI? Because you see, like there's no cheating or something, because the reason why there's a cheating is because teachers standardize the question,
Yeah.
teachers standardize the academic, and actually there's no standardized for any thinkings. Even critical
It's
thinkings, there's no standardized.
yeah, it's root memory, not critical thinking.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why I think um, this is actually a better way to integrate with AI,
Yeah.
because you learn whatever knowledge, and it didn't even say it's following a curriculum. I mean, I'm learning how to create a curriculum.
Sure.
I'm learning like a Bloom's taxonomy, how to use all the right word to create student learning objective. Start from remember, analyze, compare, critique,
Hmm.
create. Like there's a pyramid of a child to start from remembering things to master to create. But now is I feel like the Bloom taxonomy needs to flip into create first.
Hmm.
Whatever you want to create, and student only have 2 hours, which is great because limited time will stimulate the maximum production. So
Constraints generate
yeah,
creativity.
yeah. So they just keep searching what's the problem and how to work with AI, and learn as much as they can and do the proposal to the owner. Yeah, and then pitch how to solve the problem. I think this is probably the new generation need to receive these types of yeah. There's no grade because everybody's problem is different. There's no standardized,
Yep.
and you definitely use critical thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep. I
like There's no doubt, and you couldn't cheat.
Yeah, any boss would want to have somebody working for them who goes out, finds problems, and solves those problems. That's how you move everything forward. So I think that's
Yeah.
that model will be very successful.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I saw like first grade, second grade kids start like pitching to the owner about
Yeah,
your store problem.
yeah,
I bet the school has a lot of partnership with the, but I just see the future maybe start from here and all the argument, all the discussion that we say, oh, student will cheat their essay and I will use like another anti-AI machine to see if you have maybe those papers shouldn't be there.
yeah,
Or maybe, those papers will be the actual kids find out things and be written by AI, right? Doesn't
yeah.
really
But
need
but
to be
all of
written
the
by,
thoughts the critical thinking thoughts generated can be assembled through AI.
yeah, the original finding problems. So I think maybe this is the way, not the way that we use to get raised up. And teachers shouldn't be sitting here and look up like a quiz, look up like, oh, I have a scope of work, and student
Hmm.
whether they remember and master and create things out of the thing that I prepare for them.
Yep,
Students should just learn on their own.
I agree. I think there's
Yeah.
an opportunity for really improving.
Yeah. So that's what I read this news. I feel like teachers need to the entire education system might need to change. Yeah, which is very, very interesting. So I think I still have another news. Maybe I just like mention really quick.
Sure.
It's more like a biology. I remember Jensen Huang mentioned that if right now um, people ask him if he is right now start learning things like a young graduate, what will he do? He said he will pick biology as his subject, learn
Mhm.
biology. So you can see that right now scientists use AlphaFold to to kind of like discover the new frontier of our DNA, right? Because
Hmm.
DNA and protein, DNA is the blueprint and protein is the final product. So
Hmm.
yeah, and a lot of things like cancer, right? It's just the cells couldn't control themselves and actually trying to protect us. It's like when I saw cancer's concept, I was like, I saw cancer is trying to kill us, and
Yeah.
actually cancer is trying to make us live longer and be a better person. I was like, what? so so this types of concept is feels like the DNA was going wrong, the blueprint was wrong, so that's
Yeah, yeah.
why the cancer start doing some crazy stuff. So yeah, by doing like a AI to figure out different ways of folding, yeah, it will really helps us to create new medicine. So there are a couple of companies such as Isomorphic Labs. They got like a lot of like fundings, and also I saw a lot of like for example, Apple reportedly developing AI agent for doctors in latest health push. So I saw a lot of like a telemedicine, and Apple I think is perfectly for doing health doctor,
Hmm.
because if you have a wearable watch, right?
Collect a lot of data.
Yeah. So and phone, sometimes I just put my phone and I can see my steps, and I didn't even know that they calculate like a
Yeah.
when I stand, when I do things, and I have Mac, so screen time, right? Everything, they collect everything. So I think having a AI doctor for Apple to create the types of AI service, I think it's pretty good. Cool. Anything you wanna mention, or what do you have any
Nope,
thoughts?
I think this was a good discussion. Thanks for
Cool.
including me.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So thank you so much. And we will see you next time. Bye bye.